Hey y'all, from Spindle Mountain Mercantile. I am Heather. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Hey, it's me, Heather, and this is Tilly Bell. Say hi, Tilly Bell. Tilly Bell is deaf. See her little tongue hanging out. Isn't she cute? She's our newest rescue. A dear friend of mine passed away in December, and I volunteered to her friends to help find homes for the naked babies. And she's naked, she's hairless, except for her head and her feet and her tail. She has a little bit of hair on her back. And somehow we ended up with Tilly Bell. She's like 15 or 16. She's a very sweet girl. Bye, Tilly Bell. I think she liked saying hi. She's looking back at me like, what? I don't get to be the star? Okay. I just wanted to pop on and let you know that I moved back into my she shack since winter's over. I know it's not over officially. It's March 1st, but it's over here. My daffodils are up. My roses have little buds on them and lots of leaves. And my she shack is not freezing. So I moved back in there and I have some new systems and I didn't fix them correctly, so I made some big mistakes. And also my phone is really freaking out lately. I don't know what's up with that. I'm gonna have to get a new one. So remember this, when I make mistakes, I learn from them and I improve. So I am blatantly pleading with you, don't leave me. Please don't leave me. You know what? If you don't like mistakes, you can go ahead and leave. But you know how sometimes you laugh at my stuff? You might be laughing this time, not because I'm funny, but because I made so many mistakes. But I'm telling you, the things I made are awesome. Like, I want to keep them all this time. I know I usually want to keep one or two. Whoa, that was just a backfire. We're country, but that was just a backfire. I promise, it was a car. All right, anyway, stick around. I promise it gets better, and the next video will be even better. So I hope you guys have a great time watching, and I'll see you later. Project number 1. I'm using some Iron Orchid Designs air dry clay to make, can you guess? I'm going to cut this because they have to be little tiny. I'm making eggs. I found if I roll them into a ball in my hand and then just rub one side of them, I can get a nice little egg oval. I'm painting them with Haint Blue Cottage Color by Debbie's Design Diary. And you know how you're not supposed to contaminate your paint? Yeah, well, don't contaminate your paint. But this really did work well. The first one was an accident, and then when it didn't drop to the bottom, I was like, oh, this is good. But don't do that. Don't do that way. Get some paint out. Now, I read online that these might be Waterford. However, they don't weigh very much and they just don't feel like heavy cut glass. But because they could be Waterford, I'm not using industrial glue on project number 1. I don't like to use something that's permanent if it has like a genuine antique or something vintage that's might be of great value to somebody. And somebody could be looking for one of these. It's a little salt dish, and I got about 30 of them in the last haul that I did. I'm sure the eggs gave it away and what I'm doing gave it away, but I'm making a nest inside the salt pot. And when I do this, when I make a nest, I put a little bit of glue over the top of the sphagnum moss that I put in the middle, and I take all the crumbs off the table, well, some of the crumbs, and I just kind of sprinkle them in there, and it makes it look a little bit thicker. I will leave a link to some twine like this. It's ribbon and twine braided together, and the ribbon has little tiny leaves on it. And we're just going to wrap that around the edge of the nest one time around. Rich people neighborhoods always have great trash on the side of the road, and they often throw away great floral products that some of us might keep, but I mean, they change them. As soon as that silk floral arrangement is out of style, they're getting new ones, so they throw them out. And I found this little bird in an arrangement on the side of the road. I cut the stick he was on and kind of shoved it through the sides of the nest, and then I put the cut parts behind him, or behind her, sorry, sticking up. This is a little candlestick that broke. And I'm trying to slow this down so you can see it. That's some regular dish soap mixed with water. And it gets stuff really clean. My mother-in-law taught me that. Thanks, Judy. And I'm just going to put, again, regular glue from my glue gun, and then I'll place the whole entire salt pot and nest on it. I'm putting that entire thing on a candlestick. It's kind of candlestick. It's like a votive holder that's got a pedestal under it. So it's got a really wide top. And I found this in my stash. It's one of those candle holders that you put on top of like a taper. You know, you put it in the little hole a taper candle would go in, and the glass gets wide so you can put a bigger candle in it. You know what I'm talking about? And I put this finial on it a long time ago. So you can see where, now this I didn't care about if it was attached, so I did use some two-part epoxy, and I'll show you that later in the video. I'm adding some velvet ribbon, and I kind of laced it over the front. So, but it didn't really matter because I put flowers on it. And that's one of the things I messed up on. I don't have footage of adding the flowers. So at the end of this project, before I show you the finished cute thing, I will show you the flowers up close so you can see how I did those. But I got rid of the blue. I just didn't like it, and it left a little bit of blue residue, so that's why I'm adding this extra piece of brown around the back so you can't see the residue. I did get footage of putting a flower on the candlestick where there was a little porcelain flower that just didn't match. So I added that, and then I have more of the ribbon that's braided with the twine, the little leaf ribbon, but it's not braided with twine, it's just leaf ribbon. And I cut some leaves off of it and just tucked them in behind that flower. I only used 3 drops of glue from my glue gun to attach the cloche. And you guys, it just didn't work. It didn't hold up even carrying it in the house in a box. I have to figure something else out. I think I can get different glue for my glue gun that will stick a little bit better. Here's how I did the flowers. I put each of these on individually, including the greenery. Everything on there is individually placed. And then I went back with a little dot of glue behind some of the flower petals, and I pushed them up against the finial to make it so that each flower was opened up more. And here's the one I did on the little candlestick under the nest. And I added one more to the very bottom just to give it some balance, and I just tucked up some leftover velvet ribbon under there, and look how cute it is. Now I don't know what color of eggs doves have, but I wanted this dove to have robin's egg blue eggs. They don't have to be robin eggs, but you know what, you do you. If you want to have white eggs, do white eggs. If you want a chicken in there, do it. Heck, if you want a lizard and some lizard eggs, you go for it. You can do whatever you want in this. I like the dove with robin's egg blue eggs. Project number 2. Part of the film that was corrupted was for project number 2 when I was trying to make a base for the vignette, and I wanted it to look like this. So I had a milk glass bowl with the lid had been broken, so it wasn't like I was damaging an antique. And I had a goblet just like this that I got in the same haul. If you want to see that haul, go to my video called Best Haul Ever. 45 boxes, y'all. And in those 45 boxes, I could not find the rest of the goblet. It was broken in 2 places, right here and right here. And we couldn't find this part. So there was no way to glue it back together to make it even look kind of like it was okay. And I promise you guys, I do bathe. I have washed my hands so many times, but I haven't scrubbed them yet. I've been working with clay, glue, and paint. And man, you want to know if it sticks? Yes. The answer is yes, it sticks. Anyways, Some of the clay that I had for quite a while, I only single bagged my clay when I first started getting it because I didn't know to triple bag it. Got a little dry, took it out. I was going to throw it away, and I added some water to it and just kind of kept manipulating it until it was pliable. It still is not great for maybe using in a mold because look how easy it cracks. And plus it's still kind of hard. So pushing it into the molds is too much for my old hands. I got it into kind of a ball, a flat ball, like a really thick pita. Oh, I'd love to have a pita right now. We're doing keto, so my mind goes to food a lot. Anyway, I used my Quick and Thick by Tite Bond, and see my lid? Yep, lost the lid. I put copious amounts in the bottom of the bowl, and then I took the mound of clay and I pressed it. I just pressed it everywhere until I had it spread out and was sure that the glue was spread out underneath it. Let's just pretend this is the goblet, okay? So here's the top of the goblet. Whoop. I put the stem right in the middle and I pushed it very hard so that the clay would come up to this part. I pulled it straight out so I wouldn't mess up the hole. The stem has flat edges. I think it's like an octagon shape. It has flat edges, so I had to make sure when I put it back in, those flat edges matched up with the clay. I used my Tite Bond again, and I poured it in the hole until it just started bubbling up out of the hole because I wanted it all the way around the stem, and then I wanted it on this part too. I waited till it was dry. It wasn't maybe solid dry, but it was dry enough that when I went to wiggle it, it didn't. And next I used my hot glue gun and I put it all the way around the goblet. Here, pretend the goblet's there. I put it all the way around and I added some of that reindeer moss that you can buy at Dollar Tree for $1.25. It's bright green and I thought that would be nice and springy. And I think that's all that we missed with that corrupt file. So let's get back to the regular video. Something else I really messed up on was when I put my camera back in the she shack after working in the house all winter. I put it in the frame incorrectly, so that blur at the bottom, that's part of the physical frame my camera is in. And the reason I left this here is because last night I was in a meeting and a friend was talking about how she gets so discouraged when she makes a mistake, or even if she doesn't make a mistake, if she doesn't like something she did or she gets kind of cringy, she doesn't even put the film out there. And I just wanted to show that even if you make a mistake, you can edit and look what happens. Ta-da! It's not perfect. There's still a little blur down there, but you get the idea of what I'm doing. And that's the most important part of making a DIY video on YouTube. I know that's true because I can read my analytics and it shows me that you guys skip around and I do the same thing. We only go to the parts of the video. I mean, unless we're sitting there crafting and we just leave the TV on, or maybe it's somebody awesome that we don't want to miss a word of. But when we're watching DIY videos, we mostly skip around and we just need to get the idea of what we want to do so that we can take that idea and make it our own. Yeah, I'm not really right in the middle of the screen, but hey, you guys stick with me. I'm learning. I will get better at this. I think, though, that you get the gist. I am painting some Apothecary paint on top of a spindle, well, a finial that I painted black first. So we've got a spindle. We've got spindle, finial, and do I hear anybody say candlestick? Man, once you make a mistake, it's like you make a whole bunch more. Does anybody else go through that? That happens to me a lot. Oh my goodness, sometimes if I say the wrong word, I repeat the wrong word like 3 times before the right word comes to mind. Well, anyway. All right, so I took out some of my gallery glass that I got, glass paint, gallery glass brand paint that I got at Hobby Lobby. It's green, and I just put enough down at the bottom so that this foam I'm putting in there won't show. I'm going to push moss. It's reindeer moss from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to push that down there, and I didn't know if that would get covered. It ended up that I didn't need to use any paint down there because I got the moss down there by using the end of a paintbrush. So it worked out really good, but you know, better safe than sorry, right? I've already sped this video up twice. It's double time, and it is still taking forever to put that moss in there. And right here I'm adding a whole bunch of glue under it because I'm putting a little figurine there, and I want it to make sure it doesn't wobble. So there's lots of glue underneath the moss that's on top of the little goblet. And wait till you see the guy I'm putting on here. He's so cute. It's a little bunny. He's reading a book, and he's got his feet up with this book on his knees. I just used my regular glue gun on here, and it stuck really good. I held it for actually quite a while. You can't tell because, you know, like I said, I sped it up. And then I added some flowers, and that's why the foam is in there, so the flowers will stand up straight. Then I put the cloche back on it, and I don't know if you heard my husband in the background. He said cloche, but no cigar. Bump. And the flowers were a little bit too tall, so I cut off just one of the top buds, and it fit perfectly. Since nothing in this project was really valuable, super vintagey, or antique, I went ahead and used very strong glue. I used JB Weld 2-part epoxy, and I will show you that in the next video. So you can see right there that this is one of those candle holders that you put into a sconce. And I just attached this finial to the bottom of it, so now the bottom is the top. And I'm holding that rag on there because my dirty hands got paint all over that, and I had to clean it like 3 times till I learned my lesson. And I'm wet distressing the Apothecary off. Now the Apothecary is, let me show you a picture of that. Apothecary is my favorite color from Debbie's Design Diary. I do sell this, but I don't do mail order. If you want to order some, you can check out the link in my description. If you buy some from that link, Debbie will give me a little bit of compensation, but it won't raise your price. Because it's water soluble, you can use a damp cloth to wipe it off. You just have to make sure that whatever is under it is what you want to be exposed. I painted underneath this with black spray paint. My 2-part epoxy ran down on the inside a little bit, so I had to cover that up with some ribbon, but that was good. It worked out really good. I just wrapped it around to the front, and where the seam is, I added some flowers, and I don't show you this part right here, I guess, but I added a white flower to the front, and I put some glue behind the petals to make it spread out. I did attach this cloche with JB Weld 2-part epoxy, and I will add a link for that in the description. We found ours at Lowe's, but I also found it for the same price on Amazon. It's kind of expensive if you look at just the price, but if you compare the per ounce price with regular like a syringe bottles that are connected of 2-part epoxy, this costs a lot less per ounce. There's 2 ways you can apply it. This way I just kind of rub it on the rim, and I do that if I want to make sure it doesn't drip. If I need extra, or I can cover up the drips like I did with the ribbon, then I use like the end of a paintbrush, or I use a little paint stick. And now I'm just wiping some of it off. And this one I really do want to keep. Check out how beautiful this is. Oh my goodness, isn't he sweet? He's got a little bird reading with him, and he's looking up at me like, hello, Miss Lady. I just love it so much. I'm not gonna lie, one of the reasons I like this one the best is because it matches one of my favorite pictures of us. Oh, you know what? They're all my favorite pictures of us. I guess it's because I think we're a really good couple, and When I look at him looking at me, I think I got blessed way yonder past what I deserve. Project number 3. I don't know what was in the middle of this. It wasn't a lamp because that hole doesn't go all the way through. It was something, maybe another piece of glass broke. I thought maybe I'd put a plate on top of it, maybe one on the bottom and the top. I had no idea what I was doing with this. It was really, really dusty and dirty, so I cleaned it out and I tried all different kinds of animals. Well, then I found this little chicken with a baby, and since I had such good success with my robin's egg blue dove's eggs, of course I made some chicken eggs and I left these white. So I just glued her down with I just glued them down with my glue gun, and by now I'm learning that I need to get the glue strings gone before I put them inside the cloche because it is really hard to get them out once they're in there. So I started winding the strings around my finger, and that worked pretty good. I'm sorry about the dogs. They keep running back and forth, so you hear all that clitter clatter, clickety clackety. Anyway, I used more of the bright green reindeer moss because it's spring, and I just placed it all around. I mushed it down pretty good so that it wouldn't be all fluffy up in front of the chick and you couldn't see it. For the florals in this, I used some different purples, and you know it. You know where I found this. I did not buy that. I don't know where I got it, but that's what I'm using right now. And I just put the top in that was really tapered right here, and I kind of wrapped it around the back of the chick so that the little tiny end is in the front. And then since I only have one piece of this, I had to kind of trim it. So I cut it like at an angle, and I just made it work. This is the lavender I used. It's from Dollar Tree. They have about 3 different kinds of lavender, but this one actually says lavender on it. And this is what's left of it. I tucked the pieces in how I thought they would look good, and then I took them back out and I put the tip of the end of the stem into my glue gun and then put it back where I thought it belonged. And I did 3 of those. I like to do multiples of 3 when I do floral arrangements. I had a friend who's a florist tell me, you don't have to do that. It looks good however you want it. Well, she's probably right, but I learned it that way, so it's stuck in my brain. And then I took more of that bright purple and I just cut little pieces of it here and there and just kind of dropped it in around the edge. Instead of painting the eggs, I left them in their natural state, which is Iron Orchid Designs Air Dry Clay White. I sell this, but I don't deliver or mail order it either. But you can check out my friend Heather at Create Your Own Cozy if you want some mailed to you. If you want to shop in person, you can go to the Iron Orchid Designs website and find a stockist near you, and I will put that information in the description. I made a little bouquet out of the same flowers that I put on the inside, and then I took my velvet purple ribbon and made a tiny bow around it right in the middle of the ribbon, and then I took the ends and drew it through the chimney, which is the bottom is the top now, don't forget, and I pulled it up and glued it to the top, and now I'm going to cut that off. And I can't believe how perfectly I cut it. I didn't think about needing some more of that velvet ribbon later, but I did because I got out my JB Weld again. And I used it to attach the finial to the top of the chimney, and I used it to attach the chimney to the little globe that the chickens are in. And it worked so perfectly. It was awesome. I did hold this for quite a while once I got it on there. You don't see that part. And I did the same thing with this. And then I just left it alone and I let it sit and get dry. When the epoxy was dry, I got out my... When the epoxy was dry, I got out my Rub and Buff in the color Gold Leaf and just used a brush to go over the base of whatever this thing is. My goodness, you guys, these dogs are going crazy. I'm sorry about that. I would have used Debbie's golden ticket liquid patina, but it already had some gold wax on it from when I tried to use it before for something. And also the top had it. So here I am using that purple ribbon, and I just put it around the seam where I put the chimney on top of the globe that the chickens are in. And at the back side, I just met the two ends up. I didn't do anything else. I didn't make a bow. I didn't flip them under. I just left them as is. I put this underneath the finial at the top where some of the JB Weld epoxy had dripped down to hide it. And before I used it, oh, and this is, I don't know where this is from. It might be Hobby Lobby. It could be online. You can get it sometimes at Dollar Tree, but that one's not. Anyway, I used some rub and buff on it. First, I made sure it fit, and I put some rub and buff on it, and I put a lot of rub and buff on it, so I took some off and brushed it on the other stuff. And I bent both ends under and used my regular hot glue gun and just really pressed it as I put it on there, and it stuck quite well. It doesn't show any signs of coming off, and it's been on there for a day or two. It worked really well. Isn't this cute? Oh my goodness. Oh, I want to keep this one too. Are you still here? I'm just checking because remember what we talked about earlier with the analytics? I know I skip around and it's totally okay if people skip around. If you watched the whole thing or if you just skipped right to the ending, I'm totally okay with that. I'm just glad you're here at all, whether it's to laugh at my mistakes or see if anything I made turned out awesome. And you know what? I think they kind of did. I really, really, really like these. I don't have stuff like this in my house generally, but I think that's going to change. You know what it is? I might keep two of them. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do if I keep keeping everything? I guess I'll have a pretty house. That's what. I am so grateful you guys are here. I have really enjoyed making these projects, and I've actually enjoyed what I've learned through the mishaps. And I look forward to seeing what I can do better next time. And until that next time, when you see me again, I hope you have a wonderful week. And as always, I hope you are blessed. Bye.